Aloha. My name is Kanohowailuku Helm. I'm running for Senate, State Senate District 7, which is in representation of Upcountry Maui, East Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe. Basically, my platform is to look at what we need before what we want. I've got into this. I've never aspired to become a politician. I got into this political scene and running for Senate because I want to protect my home that I love so dearly, which includes all of Maui and Lanai. There was a big proposal to put a wind farm, giant wind farm on the area where I come from in Ho'olehua on the west side of Molokai, and was to produce 400 megawatts of power to send it via undersea transmission cable to Oahu. It just would take up half of our island and turn Molokai to an industrial wasteland. I feel that way. I feel strongly about protecting our environment on Molokai, on Lanai, on Maui as well. I think we should look at what we need before what we want. I think before I look at whether I support or oppose the project, we have to look at certain variables. We have to ask, as State Senate, I have to look at asking the basic and core questions, which is who is involved, what it involves, where it's located. When, the issue is when, what is the timeline with this issue, and why is it being proposed, and how is it being implemented. We have to look at all the different variables. We have to consider all people involved, all parties. I understand there's the national parks, who's involved, the National Scientific Foundation, we have our Kanaka Maoli community, and you have to really look at all the variables to decide whether or not this is needed, whether or not this development is truly needed, and whether or not the community of Maui and Maui County, the state, whether or not we truly benefit by having such a huge development in such a special area that is dear to the Kanaka Maoli, who look at Haleakala as a spiritual place, as a culturally significant area. We have to look at the tourist industry. More and more we do huge developments on island. We have to look at if we can, if we want to affect our tourist industry, which is our #1 bread and butter here in Hawaii. And we have to look at if it's necessary. If it's necessary to look up there in the sky and monitor our satellites and monitor, life on other planets, then we have to look at that as well. So we have to look at two sides of the issue. I think we need to look at all the variables of putting a prison there in Pu'unene. If it's needed, I personally think that our local boys should be able to serve their time here in Hawaii, especially if people within Maui County can stay here on island, and I think it'd be much better for our local boys than sending them away. I think we need to look at who's involved. The HHL, if we're looking at a master plan and not just a prison, looking at expanding on the lands there, also with private organizations there as well, the county, the state. We need to look at the infrastructure that they're proposing to develop there as well, sewer lines, lease to own, and if it's worthwhile to do so with Hawaiian Homes, or if it'll put us more in depth. So I think there's a lot of variables to look at. Again, I'm all for bringing our local boys home to serve their time. Basically, we need to go back to the drawing board in creating Hawaii's clean energy initiative. From my understanding and my involvement in the clean energy initiative and how I got involved into politics, of course, it was based on a huge wind farm being put on the island and taking up almost quarter of the island of Molokai in an area that I live. I think we need to go back to the drawing board to look at what is the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. I think we need to look at the whole package of our economy and looking at our way of life and then looking at providing alternative energy, what types of alternative energy can be sensitive to our lifestyle, our way of life, and what type of alternative energy would be good for the economy as well. I don't support these huge big wind projects, of course, but if we can get more rooftop solar, if we can open up the grid so that more people can feed rooftop solar into the grid, I think I would support that, and a lot of people would support that. There's a lot of people who are waiting for them to open up the grid and support solar energy on the grid. We need to look at other alternative energy sources. They've been looking at geothermal, hydroelectricity on all the other islands. Basically, my feeling is that before we look at an undersea transmission cable providing power to other islands, that every island should look at becoming self-sufficient first. My name is Kanohowailuku Helm. I'm running for State Senate for District 7, which includes Upcountry Maui, East Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe. I am running as a nonpartisan, so I need to make 10% of the votes in the primary to move on to the general. Otherwise, probably the other candidate or the incumbent would run unopposed in the general. I'm urging people to vote for me as a nonpartisan so that I can get into the general and hopefully move forward to become your next senator. You can check out my site on helmforsenate.com or on YouTube and Facebook. Mahalo.